Hey there, Math 112 fans. Quick video where I'm going to introduce you to Webassign, where you do your homework. You can click on the assignments directly within Canvas. It takes you to this page. But basically, you should be opening assignments as we discuss them. So we will be discussing 9.3 in our first class. So you'll be clicking on these and opening them. But I wanted to do a couple problems to explain a few things. And the way it works, you'll have a little explanation at the top. You'll have the date when it closes, but you basically get points as you do the assignment. And I already played around with this first one a little bit. So let's go to which one do I want to do? Yeah, let's calculate this. So I changed the settings a little bit. I started to make a video and then I realized I didn't care for the settings that the department had set up. So I've set it up so you can do each part separately, as if they're separate questions. So if you submit here, it does not affect the other one, and it wasn't set up that way. So basically, each of these are independent questions that you get 5 tries on. When you click on details, you can see how many tries you get. Now, for multiple choice, you're not going to get 5 tries. Okay, so that's the setup. So what I want you to do is to have a notebook out, an organized notebook, because what happens is you're going to make mistakes and you'll have questions. So you'll do the first question. If you have come to lecture and if you've looked at the ebook, either one, you'll have something in your notes that says, okay, average rate is this. Change in Y over change in X, where this is the start, time or value, and this is the end. So what you're practicing this homework is just understanding what that means. So here you're given the name of a function, x squared plus x. I'm not going to do all the problem. I just wanted to give you a feel for how this goes. And you're going to be computing f of 3 minus f of 0 over 3 minus 0. And I have my calculator out because you should practice using this calculator. This is the calculator you're allowed on tests. But ultimately this means you're going to compute whatever this is, which you can get in your calculator. In fact, we could do it right now. So we go 3 squared plus 3 minus 12. And my one bit of advice is, if this gets bigger than your display, calculate it in pieces. But f of 3 is 0. And that's what this number will be. So I'm going to make a few notes here, but there's going to be a 0. The bottom is going to be 3 minus 0. And what we just computed was 3 squared. And when we plug something in, we like to put parentheses. Lots of little things. People in this class come from all sorts of different levels and backgrounds. So it's always hard for me to know how many details to give here. But this should have been 9 plus 3 and minus 12 is 0. What is f of 0? It's going to be 0 squared plus 0 minus 12, which is minus 12. So what I find when students do this calculation, the common mistake is not including parentheses appropriately. So they do this. And they get the wrong answer. Why is that going to get the wrong answer? Because we're supposed to be computing this and then subtracting. So it should be 0 minus negative 12. And what I see students do is not include these parentheses, and so then they will write 0 minus 12 over 4. So that's the takeaway here is you should compute the first one, compute the second one, and then subtract. And you'll see that happen. So this should be a 4. So you can put that in. 4. Enter. Or hit submit. It doesn't affect, so the way I have it set up is it doesn't affect the other one. You get 5 tries. Cool. You get to these other ones. Let's say we wanted to do this one. It's the exact same thing, but it happens to be with a table. And so we're trying to do f of 4 over subtracting this. And these shouldn't be too bad, but a good chance to kind of get back in the mode. This one's easier to do in your calculator because it's going to be 19, so we just look in the table for the value, so that's actually easier. over this. And I would encourage you not to try to type all that in. Do it in pieces. You can actually even just do it like this. You could do 19 minus 22, compute, and then you have that number. That's what's on top. And then you can write, if you click divide, it'll say divide the previous number by whatever you do next. So if I just click divide 0.2, there's my answer. So occasionally I have students getting stuck on this assignment or telling me it's hard or telling me it's taking them hours and hours, and it's probably a calculation thing. It's really that fast. If we scroll down, I don't know what I want to do here. This is the average number from 11 to 12. So that should also be quick. So maybe we'll do one more just to make sure we're good with our calculator. So let's say I'm doing question 6. It says r of x is equal to 46. And if you get something wrong, you do get more tries. But my goal is not to have you just keep guessing. It doesn't affect your other parts. You can see the details here. But if you get it wrong more than twice, you need to be asking for help. If you come to me and say, I've used all my submissions, I just have one left, please check my work, I won't be that happy about that, because you should be checking it much sooner. On a test, you only get one try. Okay, so this says, what's the average value from 11 to 22? So we're going to do r of 22 minus r of 11 over 22 minus 11. And that's revenue, or dollars, on top, per items, units sold. So it does represent this average revenue if you went from 11 to 22. So now we have this calculation to do. Let's write it out in all its glory. So 46, we're plugging in at 22 minus 0. And this is just getting us ready for the notation piece. So we need to compute that. And then we need to do the exact same thing with an 11 plugged in. I'm going to run out of space here. Maybe I'll make this a little wider. 11 minus 0.01. And I've had many students over the years just say they can't figure that out. They can't get their calculator to plug it in. And I think the issue is they're trying to type all that in, which I would never do. Meaning I would do 46, and you could even just do that and write it out. Much easier to check, but let's do minus 0.01 times 22 squared. Now I know my order of operations, so it's 20, so this is about as long as I ever would want to type something in. So I'd compute that, and I'd write it down. And what I like is that's now something I could go back and check. I think it's very helpful to have pencil and paper here for just a practical piece of checking. Okay, now let's compute the other one. 46 times 11 minus 0.01 times 11 squared. You see how just having this pencil and paper, it's a huge savings for someone that's prone to calculation errors. And then a fun little thing is, at this point, I have this number. I want to subtract it from 1007.16. What I would do is just either maybe clear and say, I want to do 1007.16, and I want to subtract the last answer I just computed. So there's an important little thing here. You do second answer, and it subtracts that 504.76. That's a pretty slick little maneuver if you've never had to use a calculator before in this way. And you can double check, all right, that's reasonable. And then I want to take that answer and divide by 11. So you can notice how my display never fills up. It's always just a few characters. And then we can type that in, 45.67. So to me, it doesn't make sense to, there's the green check, yay. But it doesn't make sense to be entering more than a couple submissions, because all of that's checkable. And on a test, you're not going to be able to just try over and over again. So you have to practice that checking. Okay, these other questions about notation, that's what we've been building towards in this assignment. And we'll talk about that in class, and I have a separate video on that. But these shouldn't be taking you very long. You should be able to do questions 1 through 6 comfortably on your own, and then go ask in the lab, and then hopefully you can spend the rest of the time in lab doing with 6, 7, and 8, making sure you have the notation right. And then if you get those done, you can start working on the next assignment. That's where you should be on Tuesday. But I hope that gives you a little orientation to the homework. Basically, you get 5 submissions for questions in how I just changed it for everyone. Some of these you can see you just get 1 submission because it's just a yes or no question. So play that game and see what happens. Okay, so that's the story. I will occasionally give homework hints like this, but I just wanted to get you started on the assignment so you can see it doesn't take a long time. Because in the first week, I always get emails saying, oh, this is taking me forever. And I wanted to prove that's not the case. Okay, well,